welcome to the 5th episode of the In Her Skein knitting podcast. My name is Marie-Ève and I'm coming to you from the northeastern part of Italy to share what I've been knitting on these past few weeks. I hope you had a good holiday break. Mine was very hectic in a few different ways. There was just a lot of socialization, and I'm an introvert, so I needed a lot of time to recharge my batteries. And I also got sick just before Christmas, so that was rough, combined with after needing to socialize a lot with different people. And then what else happened? We just moved. I think we were already moved in my last episode, but we just moved to a new apartment, and my boyfriend and his dad were doing some work on one of the bedrooms to change one of the light switch and placement, and in doing that they managed to burst a pipe of water, and so we were out of water for Christmas for a few days, which was also a bit of a struggle. Lots of things happened. I was just very tired, and I think in easing into the new year I had to just take a lot of time for myself. But I still managed to do a lot of knitting, and I am happy today to be here to share it with you. So I guess I'll start with what I'm wearing, which is not a knitted garment. It's my crochet cardigan that I've made with a lot of different leftovers or scraps that I had in stash. I had finished it last time for the last episode, but I think I just needed to block the button band because it was sort of like bringing in the fabric like this, but now it's like relaxed a bit more, so that's that. I did wear it out in public. We went to the restaurant the other day, me and my boyfriend, to an all-you-can-eat sushi, and I did get a lot of weird looks from people, which didn't really bother me. But what did bother me was that these sleeves are kind of wide, and they were getting in the way, when you at an all-you-can-eat sushi, you need to reach across the table a lot. And I was always dipping my sleeve in soy sauce. It was a mess. And so at some point I ended up just folding it a little bit, which I feel looks even more crazy. But yeah, so probably won't be wearing this to a restaurant anymore, but I'm wearing it also a lot around the house. It's very, I guess today I'm wearing it with a camisole under like this, and so it's quite gapey, but the fabric is very thick and it's all wool or wool blends, and so it's very, very warm. I wear it around the house, usually over another sweater to be extra cozy because I'm always freezing. As I said, I'm wearing a little camisole under. This is the Sommar camisole by Paradise Patterns that I made using a stretch cotton jersey fabric type of thing. I have a few of these, and I think I plan on making a few more because they're super versatile. I usually wear them under my sweaters or cardigans, and in the summer just as is, or to do yoga, for example. That's what I'm wearing. So I guess we can move into the first finished objects. The first thing that I have is a little decoration for the house. So since we just moved in, I wanted to make a few Christmas decorations since we don't have any. And we live in an apartment / condo building. I don't know really how to explain it. But everyone on their doors in the hallway they were decorating their doors, putting up Christmas decorations, and I thought that was really cute, and I wanted to also do the same, and I wanted to make something, but after making a few of these things that I'll show you, I got sick, so that never happened, but I guess for next year. So my vision was to take a nice branch, and then hang some crocheted snowflakes on that branch, and to put little birds like this one. So that's what I did. This is the Canary pattern, I think, by Garland. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I made it just using some scraps that I had in stash. It doesn't take a lot of yarn at all, and it's very quick and easy to make, so that was very enjoyable. So that's the first little guy that will go eventually on the branch for next year's decoration. And my boyfriend suggested that we make him a little Christmas hat, so that will most likely be happening next year. But yeah, it was very cute and very fun to make. And then to go with it, the little crochet snowflakes. Again, I used some just random white, off-white, creamy yarns that I had in stash to make these little crochet snowflakes. I made a few and I didn't weave in the ends because at that point I got sick. Yeah, very also enjoyable to make these ones. I followed a tutorial on YouTube, so it's also free. I'll link it down, but I think it was by Expression Fiber Arts. So yeah, I'm excited to make something with this next year. Alright, and then when I got sick, I just had enough energy to knit stockinette in the round, and so I basically focused on my Ranunculus, but also I wanted to make another pair of socks, so I made a very basic, very vanilla sock pair. Just like this. It's just a white yarn that I had in stash. I couldn't find the label, but it's basically this one, the Drops Nord, in the color, I'm assuming it's color 1, it's just their white. Yeah, so I'll explain what I'm going to do with these after. They're not going to stay like this, but I wanted to make a vanilla sock, and so I usually do, this one is the 2x2 ribbing, so I usually do 2x2 or 2x1 ribbing. A pretty long leg because that's how I like it, and then I do a heel flap and gusset construction because I think that's what fits my foot the best. I need the gusset because this part of my foot is pretty big. Then knit to the toe and do just some regular toe decreases. This is what I've been doing for a while now, and I thought that I really liked it, and I thought like once I finished this pair that like this is my new favorite, or not my new favorite, but my optimal vanilla sock, I guess, because I've been knitting socks now for a few years, and I feel like I finally found the perfect recipe. But then I was doing yoga this past few weeks. I've been doing I was doing, and I kind of stopped, doing the 30-day yoga challenge with Yoga with Adriene on YouTube, that I've done in the past, but I guess this year I've been really in a hibernating mode, like I don't want to move much, which is pretty bad, but anyways, I'll restart when I feel like it. But yeah, all of that to say that I was doing yoga, and so I was looking at my feet a lot, and I was wearing handed socks, not these ones, but another pair. I was looking down at my feet a lot, like when I was in downward dog or whatnot, and I noticed that like the shaping is probably not the best for my feet, and I never really noticed that before, but basically I think like most people, maybe that's a wrong assumption, but my type of foot anyways, my big toe is like a bit taller, and then everything else tapers off kind of like this. But in this type of construction, everything happens symmetrically here, and so I think that on the next pair of vanilla socks that I try or whatnot, I'll try to do an anatomical toe shaping situation where like the big toe is kind of taller and everything else, like the rate of decreases is not the same for either side of the toes. And then you like mirror that on the next side. So that's in my future plans to keep improving, I guess, my sock making. And the other thing that I did that was a bit different is just a little rolled cuff like this. I think that I knit like in the round stockinette for I think 5 rounds before starting the ribbing. And I decided to do that because I was seeing around a lot of sweater patterns with the neck portion with like the ribbing and like the little rolly bit like this at the top, and I really wanted a sweater like that, but then I don't know, I don't have a sweater quantity to do that type of sweater, and I don't need more sweaters for now. And so to scratch that itch, I just did it in a sock instead. So yeah, these will be used to do some eco printing. I can't remember when, if it was for my birthday or for Christmas at some point. I saw, like before my, whatever it was, birthday or Christmas, I saw online a kit for eco printing cotton socks, and I sort of just like sent the link to my parents saying like, hint hint, if you're looking for a gift for me for whatever occasion this was. So yeah, I sent them that, and then they bought me the kit, and it came with this pair of cotton socks, which are fine, but as a sock knitter, 1, I don't love the construction of these, and 2, I just don't know if they will wear well. So they're made like this. It's like a rib sock, like some sort of like short row shaped heel, and the bottom is just stockinette. The top is again some ribbing. But yeah, I don't know if these will wear super well, and I just prefer wool socks. So I decided to knit a pair, and then I think I will like do these side by side to eco print them with the little flowers that came in the kit, like this one. There's more, but this is one of them. And yeah, to see, I guess, the difference. The Drops Nord is a mix of 45% alpaca, 30% polyamide, and 25% wool. It's my first time using this sock yarn, so I don't know how it wears. I'm hoping it's going to be good. But yeah, so I'm excited to experiment with this, and I will try to do a little like project vlog when I get around to eco printing both of these pairs. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens with that. And speaking of flowers, I also finished my socks like this that I had, I think I had one done last time, so I just made the second one. And I did decide to write a pattern for these. I don't know when exactly I will be putting it out, but I did write it, and now I'm just waiting to send it for tech editing. So I decided to call them the Fiorellini Socks because Fiorellini in Italian means small flowers. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's also a word that I really enjoy, and it reminds me a lot of spring, which is one of my favorite seasons. So yeah, that's it. I made these in Drops Fabel, so they're other sock yarn. I don't have the ball band with me, but I'm pretty sure it's like a superwash wool and polyamide blend. And the little flowers here are made with the leftover of my Boyshak socks that I still haven't finished, but I know that I'll have enough anyways for the second sock. And And yeah, so I explained last time in the other episode that this is a colorwork motif that I designed because I was inspired by a cardigan that I want to make eventually, that has like some colorwork flowers on it, that are quite different from the ones that I ended up designing. But yeah, I wanted to test out my colorwork chart on something, and since I really like knitting socks, I thought it would be a good idea to test it on socks first. What else? I'll probably go more into detail like whenever these socks come out, but just quickly, it's a 2x2 ribbing, the colorwork, and it's not the easiest colorwork chart. Like, you need to read every row. It's not really a pattern that is easily memorizable, but if you don't mind that type of thing, it's quite easy. The only thing to keep in mind is that there are some long floats, and so you just need to catch them in the back. And yeah, I wrote the pattern with beginners in mind. So if, for example, you've knit a sock before but you've never done colorwork on socks, this can be a good first pattern to try that. I do give some tips in the pattern to know how to not get this portion too tight, basically, because that's usually the issue with colorwork socks. But also, if you have made like a colorwork sweater before but you've never knit a sock, this could be a good first sock, because it's basically a vanilla sock with just a little bit of colorwork at the top. So yeah, I'll give more details, I guess, when it's available for testing, and then to buy it. So yeah, that's it for these ones. And then, so yeah, I've been slowly getting settled in, right now I'm in what is going to be like my office / studio. And I've been noticing a few things that I'm missing. One of them is a pencil holder. And I also really wanted to try felting some yarn, felting some wool. And so I decided to knit a pencil holder that I wanted to felt to get down to a smaller size, but it's kind of a fail because it didn't shrink as much as I would have liked. But basically I used again the same colorwork chart as the socks, but in a bigger gauge. And as you can see, it's just doesn't look like a pencil holder at all. It's not small enough. Basically, I used it looks like this because I decided to make it like twice as long and then fold it to give it a bit more structure. But yeah, it's the Rerum Natura Gillat. I think it's the color Poivre, and it's an untreated merino, 100% wool, so I thought that it would felt well, but I thought wrong. It looks more fuzzy, but like it didn't shrink at all. And so I guess it's a good thing to know about that yarn. I guess you could technically put it, I don't want to be responsible for any sweater shrinkage, but I think that if you want to wash a sweater in this yarn, in the washing machine at a low temperature, it's probably gonna be fine. But yeah, so this is what it looks like. I think I'm just gonna use it for another purpose, probably to put like scrap yarns inside and just leave it in my little yarn shelf. And I don't know if I'll try to make another one to hold my pencils or what I'll do, but yeah, it was a fun little experiment. I basically used I think it's the pie shawl pattern that it's called officially or unofficially, I'm not sure, but it's the Elizabeth Zimmerman pattern for how to knit like a flat circle, basically. And so you start out with like X amount of stitches, and then 2 rows of knitting after, you increase all the stitches, so like knit through front and back for all of them, and then you double the amount of rows, or rounds in this case, that you knit, so 4, and then you double again the number of stitches, and so you knit 8, and then you would technically double again, but I decided to just keep going like this so that it would make a round bottom and a like cylindrical shape. I'm not sure if that's a word, but I think you know what I mean. A cylinder. So yeah, and then I put it in the washing machine, not at the highest setting. I think my machine goes up to 90 degrees Celsius for the water temperature. I put it at 60, I believe. And yeah, it wasn't enough, so maybe I'll try it again at a higher temperature, see what happens. Otherwise, it's just gonna live on my shelf and have another purpose. So yeah, that's it for this one. So yeah, that was it for my whips. No, sorry, my FOs. Now if we go in the whips, on Christmas Day, I wanted to cast on a Christmas sock, but with everything that was happening, I didn't get around to it. So I think I cast on my Christmas socks on January 3rd. And I have finished one so far, and it looks like this. I really like it. It's not super Christmassy, but it's giving me like retro Christmas vibes, which I like. And it's made with just leftover sock yarns, except the green is a I think I have it inside, yeah, inside here, this little bag. It's this yarn, it was a full skein, but I'll have enough for sure for a full pair of socks after. Is the West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply, which is a blend of wool, contains some BFL and some nylon, and then the rest are leftovers of, this is the same brown as the Fiorellini Socks. The red is the leftover of my Carta socks, so it's a Modim yarn. This little pink that looks kind of beige here, but it's like a nice little soft pink. It's a leftover of, I think it's like an untreated yarn. I don't remember exactly which one. But yeah, so I decided to go with these colors for a subtle Christmas theme, I guess. And I like the combination. And this is the Ocean Drive socks by Megan Nodecker, or Pippin Pin, I think is her designer name. And she's the one who made the Sprocket socks that were very popular at some point, which I've never made, but I think I have the pattern, so I have to try it at some point. But this is her Ocean Drive socks, and I really like them. They are very addictive, very potato chippy, like you want to get to the next color. And I think they look super cute with the scallops that look even nicer like once the sock is a bit stretched on the foot. And I've made these socks before. I actually brought my old pair here. They were getting very old and sad. This is what they look like. They have been worn a lot. And my critique of this pattern is that since it's like a type of color work, it's not like too, how do you say, stranded color work where you work around with 2 strands at the same time. It's mosaic knitting where you slip some stitches. But yeah, so since it's a colorwork sock, it's difficult to put like a gusset inside because it would break the pattern here. So it's a short row heel in the pattern, which I did for the first version that I made. And that is something that I don't love because, like I was mentioning before, like this part of my foot is quite wide and I need a gusset for the sock to be comfortable on my foot. And the other thing is that I made the leg a bit too short for my liking. But as you can see, they've gotten a lot of wear. They look kind of sad. So yeah, I decided to make another pair and to experiment with inserting a gusset in here. So you may be able to tell that I have a slip stitch heel and a bit of a strange part here. So basically I was looking around for a type of gusset that doesn't interrupt color work around the foot, and I ended up on this one. It's I don't think it's a free pattern, but it's a pattern that is basically just teaching you how to do this type of gusset, which is a sole gusset it's called, for colorwork socks. And so it was pretty cheap. I bought it on Ravelry. And yeah, so it's written for I believe like a 2-color colorwork sock where why am I blanking on the word? Fair Isle stranded colorwork. You know what I mean when you work with 2 colors at the same time in the same round. And so for me, since it was mosaic knitting and I was working only with 1 color at a time, with like slipping some stitches, it meant that instead of having like in her pattern where there's stripes going vertically, which are created basically how you want with your 2 colors across here, but since I was only carrying 1 color, I didn't have a lot of choice, and it just created these stripes, which at first I hated. And I really didn't like it, and I thought I was going to frog it, but then I thought like, okay, it's not the end of the world. This part is literally going to be under my foot. No one will ever see it. It's fine. So I kept it. And before I blocked it, it was looking kind of strange, and I was a bit scared of how it would fit. But since blocking it, I think it looks like a normal sock. And it fits very well. So yeah, the only thing that I think I will do differently next time that I use this technique is in the pattern she tells you how to do like the rapid decreases like this, which is worked. So basically I didn't explain, but the decreases happen under the foot, whereas usually they would happen like here in a line, but they happen here under the foot. And in like the regular socks that I made with a gusset, I usually decrease every other round. So that's what I did here, which is one of the version that was recommended. The other one is to decrease every 3rd round, which makes your gusset a bit longer. It would probably end like here instead. And I think that well, 1, it would give you more space here, and 2, it would be like less sharp here, I guess. Like the decreases would be spread out a little bit more, because right now when I put it on my foot, I like feel it like hugging the heel, which is good, I guess, but maybe it's a little bit too tight here. So that's what I think I would do differently next time. But since they fit pretty well, I think I'm going to do the exact same thing for the second one that I just cast on recently. That is here. Like this, I've only made this, but I always try to cast on the second sock as soon as I finish the first, so that I don't end up with orphan socks. Okay, I'm back. I had to take a break because I was overheating, like you were probably able to tell from the color of my face. I get really red for no reason. It was just too warm in here, so I lowered the heating. Alright, the next whip that I have is my Irene sweater test knit that I am doing for Rebecca of Journey Through Yarn. Just trying to remove all of my hair on it. So basically I am here now. Last time I think I only had the back done, so now I have done the front, joined in the round. I am not that advanced, but there. And I made the folded collar like this. And I think it looks super nice with this yarn. The yarn is very bouncy and has very nice stitch definition. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that. I'm going a bit slow because when I got sick, and also after Christmas, I had no energy to work on this type of project because it's a lot of textured stitch like this. And I need to pay attention, and my mind was just not there. So I'm finally starting to work on this again. And yeah, I'm excited to have this done. Yeah, the test is going very well. There was one thing that was like completely my mistake. I didn't understand a part of the pattern, and I was messaging Rebecca, and we figured out. Basically, I think we were both not understanding what the other person was saying, but we made it in the end. It was basically just, I think she's going to include a schematics in the pattern, so that people like me who don't understand certain things very well will be fine. And then, but yeah, when I was messaging her, like I was at some point like at the kitchen table, like doing math, like diagrams, and like if this is this length, then how can this be this length? But I was just like measuring from the wrong place essentially. But yeah, I was going like a little bit crazy, and then the next day I got my positive COVID test, and I was like, okay, it's probably just because I had fever. I don't know, I was going a bit crazy. So Rebecca, if you're watching this, I had a fever, and I apologize again for being a bit crazy. So yeah, everything is going very well. And yeah, I can't wait to make more progress on this. I think a lot of the testers have finished it. I think there's even one who's making a second one. So I feel like I'm falling a little bit behind. But I think we have until sometime in March to finish this, so it should be fine. Yeah, I forgot to mention, I mentioned last time that the yarn that I'm using is the Mota by WoolDreamers. And I really like it overall, but the only thing that I'll say, and I don't know if it's just like the batch that I'm using, but there's a lot of, what's the word in English? Hay? The things that the sheep roll around and get stuck in their fleece, there's a lot of it. Like, I'm knitting, and like, you know, when you, like the way that I carry my yarn, I kind of like feel it coming. Then like every few meters, like I have to take out a lot of things, which is fine. I think that like one of the things that they say on the website is that they minimally process the fleeces. So they're obviously washed, but there's still some things left in there. So yeah. And then the other sweater whip that I have is my Doppio sweater. And last time I think I was basically here also, but I think I made like 1 inch. Last time I had ran out of one of the yarns, and I have since ordered it. It has arrived, and so I can now continue. So this is like a project that I pick up if I need something, like just a stockinette in the round project. So yeah, not much to update on this one. The other one is my Ranunculus that has been on the needles for like a ridiculous amount of time at this point. And I think in the last episode I said like, yeah, I'm gonna put it on hold until the spring. But I picked it up again because, again, when I was sick, this was like one of the only things that I could work on. So I finished the body. Lighting is a bit intense. With the ribbing. And since I was sick, I was too lazy to try it on before starting the ribbing. And now I'm noticing that maybe it's going to be a bit short, which seems to be a trend with me and my sweaters. So I may have to go again and lengthen here a little bit. Let's see. And I also made one of the sleeves. I decided to make the long sleeves with the diagonal cuff, I think it's called in the pattern. But I think I made it slightly too long, and I think that like for the diagonal cuff I like it, but I think I did a few short rows less than indicated in the pattern, and I think it's still too diagonal. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I don't know, I don't love it, so I think I'm going to rip back an inch or two and make it a little bit shorter. And also something that is bothering me is that the I-cord, I find it a bit too like chunky. I think it's worked on 5 stitches, but I think I'm gonna go back and, I mean, I have to go back anyways to shorten the sleeve, but when I do it again, I think I will work it on 3 or 4 stitches to make it a bit smaller. So a little bit of progress on the Ranunculus should be finished before spring if I keep going at this rate. And yeah, I think that's it for today. I don't really have anything planned. I really want to advance on my test knit. And yeah, I may cast on soon a pair of socks for my boyfriend because my sock knitting mojo is like crazy right now. I want to cast on another pair, but I think that it's time to be a bit less selfish and start to knit things for others as well. So yeah, other than that, I didn't do much in the past few weeks. Like I said, I was doing some yoga, and I actually have a bit of footage of my cat doing yoga with me. She was excited that I was starting again to do some yoga, so I'll try to insert that at the end. I thought it was very cute and funny. Another thing that has been keeping me very busy is that last time I think I mentioned that I wanted to look into tech editing, and since then I have taken the Tech Editor Hub course for learning how to tech edit knitting patterns. So now I am a trained tech editor, and I have, for the moment, 2 clients, which I'm very excited about. And yeah, I've tech edited 3 patterns so far, and I really like it. And yeah, so if you're a designer in need of a tech editor and you would like to work with me, please feel free to reach out either on Instagram in my DMs, or I'll leave my email address. I think it's also in my contact information on Instagram. And yeah, I was planning to do a bit of like a knit and chat, but I think I've talked enough for today. So I think I will cut it shorter, but I would like to do a sort of knit and chat soon. So if you have any questions for me or things that you would like me to address, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and maybe I will answer your questions either in the comments, or I'll do some sort of a knit and chat for these things. So yeah, I hope that you are enjoying what you're currently knitting on, and that you are taking care of yourselves. And yeah, I will see you next time. Bye.